Welcome to Across the Pond, a podcast for leaders in market research to help them grow their insight agencies, with Steve Hankey and Paul Griffiths.
Well, hi, everybody. Welcome back to Across the Pond, a podcast on how to grow your insights agency. I am Steve Hankey with Harpeth Marketing.
Hey, and I'm Paul Griffiths from Client Advocates. And today we want to talk about AI, but we want to talk about AI in the context of sales and marketing. There's lots of conversations that are going on in the industry about how you use AI from a research perspective. I don't think we want to talk about any of that. That's beyond our expertise and beyond our ken. What we want to talk about is how, if you are in a seller-doer organization where you are got people doing research and also responsible for client engagement, managing clients, growing clients, doing some sales, doing some marketing, how can you use AI as a facilitator and as a tool to help you do that process more effectively and with more conviction and with more persistence? So that is the purpose of today's session.
And I think the way you phrase that, Paul, is absolutely right. And you and I were talking before we got on the call that having AI is not a sales and marketing strategy. If you are bad at sales and marketing, having AI is going to allow you to be bad at sales and marketing faster. And that's not a good thing. So if we get our house in order first and do good sales and marketing, this allows you to be much more efficient at it and maybe more effective, but certainly more efficient. So if you are concerned about your innate sales and marketing skills, we can have that conversation some other time. But let's assume that you are, and let's use AI to get even better at it. So share a couple of thoughts, Paul, and then I'll share a couple as well.
Yeah, sure. So the way I've been thinking about it, because I mean, obviously, I'm using this in my own business, so I'm using it for my own sales and marketing and client engagement perspective. I've bucketed it into those three brackets. So it's how do I use AI, or how can agencies use AI for marketing? And I think there are some things you can do there. There is how you can use AI further down the purchase funnel when it comes to sales, and what you can do to help with the sales process and make your sales process more effective to do. And then there is how you can use AI to help you with account management. Now, in most of these instances, what I'm talking about here, I am talking about you having pretty standard basic tools. There is no big highfalutin AI LLM systems here. I'm talking about how you can use AI and apply that to use email, to use LinkedIn. I'm assuming you'll have some form of either ChatGPT or Claude or Copilot, whatever, Gemini, whatever you use. Right. And again, this is not for me to sit here and go, which is the best tool. That's not my area of expertise. I will be open and honest and say I use Copilot. I'm mindful of the fact it has probably some limitations versus some of the other tools, but it is integrated into my Word, PowerPoint, Excel system, structure as part of the Microsoft suite. So that is why I'm using it. So this is not about saying which is the best AI tool. It's how do you apply these tools in this context with really simple, straightforward infrastructure. This is not about having lots and lots of, a tech stack or a MarTech stack or all of these things that bigger businesses maybe have. So as I say, it's how to use it for marketing, how to use it for sales, how to use it for client engagement and account management. From a marketing perspective, the context I've come from is when I speak to a lot of people in agencies, they go, we want to do sales and marketing, and particularly marketing, but we don't have time and we don't know what to do and we don't know what to say. And so one of the things that I would suggest you do is use AI to create content for you and use it in that regard. And what I'm talking about specifically here is repurposing existing materials and stuff, assets that you already have in the business. So something that you've done, a webinar script that you've done, or you've written a blog article, or you might have done some LinkedIn posts. You might have presented at a conference. Take that material and use AI, paste it into AI, and ask your AI to create some LinkedIn posts based on it. Ask it to create a podcast script if you want to do a podcast. Ask it to draft a short newsletter that you can send out on an email. Maybe do a downloadable asset. Get it to turn it into a PDF that you can send to somebody. So that's the first area where I know agencies struggle with doing that stuff. They either don't have the time or they don't have the inclination, and use AI to create that content that you can then use for a marketing perspective.
Paul, before you continue, let me respond to that. That's it's a good suggestion. And I think the way that you positioned it is right. Use it to repurpose what exists. I think one of the concerns I have is that it's very easy to get ChatGPT to write a blog post for you that's not yours. Yeah. And there's a couple of problems with that. One is it's really disingenuous, right? Not that it's fraudulent, but it's disingenuous. Secondly, it's probably not in your tone and voice that you write with.
Yeah.
And you're going to need to spend some time going through it. Mm-hmm. Because when I use it, I have to go back and edit what it gives me. So it might get you 70% of the way there, but make sure you're spending some time on the final 30%.
And I couldn't agree more. To give you an example, I wrote something yesterday for a purpose, and one of the things I then did was I said to it, the Copilot, turn this into some LinkedIn posts. Now, what it produced on those LinkedIn posts, it's good structure, and it takes my article and breaks it up nicely into discernible LinkedIn articles, but it's not in my tone, it's not in my voice as AI. Now, I then have to rewrite that. Now, the clever thing about AI is it can adapt and learn. So for one of the things I said essentially, this does not sound like me. Rewrite these LinkedIn posts so they don't sound like they're written by an LLM. Now, what it produces still sounds like it's written by an LLM, but it's better. So I then said, right, here are 6 articles that I have written in the past in my own voice. Take and analyze the tone, conversational style, and sentence structure that I use in my own and apply that to these LinkedIn posts. That gave me the next iteration. I then went, still not quite there. It was doing that AI thing where it gives it everything's in 3s. So I said, right, stop doing it in 3s, break it up, do some in 4s, some in 2s, some in 1s. That version, I was then comfortable to go, right, now with another 5 or 10 minutes of zhuzhing, messing around and putting Paulisms in, that is now a good set of LinkedIn posts that I can use. Yeah. So you're right. You don't get it to write the article for you. Absolutely not.
Please don't. Please
write
don't.
the article. You can use it to plan your article out and to say, kind of what should be a good structure for this article I want to write on this stuff, and use it as your critical friend to do that. But you're right. It only takes you so far. You've still got to do some zhuzhing and iteration. But in the end, I don't know. I don't even know if it's a word. It's just something I say. You zhuzh your hair, don't you? I zhuzh my hair, obviously. But it's that sense of if you're not producing any content, or you're struggling to produce content as an agency or as a seller doer, then this is a way to do that more effectively, more quickly, and get to a good standard that you can put out into the universe to kind of help with your marketing. And in the absence of anything, it's better than nothing.
One of the ways that I use it, Paul, when it comes to content is as a brainstorm tool.
Okay.
Right. I'm writing an article for this particular audience. I've hit a roadblock. Give me some ideas around some topics that might interest this audience. And it'll give you 50 topics. And you find 2 or 3 that spark an idea and go, I can write about that. I still write it myself.
Yeah.
But it helped me to just sort of get the juices flowing. I was kind of stuck inside my own head, and it helped me get going in a different direction. And I think as a brainstorming tool, I think it's a terrific use of the technology.
Yeah, no, I recognize that. I was looking at something around lead qualification a couple of weeks ago, and I like lead qualification, but there's lots of different models of it. And so I asked it, I said, I want to write something about lead qualification. Think about developing my ideas around this. Give me all of the different models of lead qualification and in a summary, so I can then go away and think about which ones and how do I apply that in the world of market research and insight. Yep. From that perspective, it's a super, super valuable tool. And I'm sure the same is true if you're thinking about being you're doing a research program and you want to do, you're thinking about a new category or a new sector or a new industry. That's a really quite a useful tool, which comes on to my second use of this, which is in the sales process. because I think there's huge benefit when you are going into the likelihood of doing a proposal or you've got a brief using AI to do your prep before your briefing call with the client. So you've received a proposal, you've said, I want to have a conversation with you about it. Using AI there as a critical friend to say, right, what are the sorts of things? Take the brief, put the brief into the AI tool and go, summarize this brief. Where are the areas that it could be improved? What are the things that I should be thinking about? This is my standard set of questions that I use when I take a brief from a client. And I would advise clients, my agency clients, when they take a brief from a client, they will hopefully have done some prep around the questions they want to ask. So they've got hopefully a question bank of questions to use in that brief. Apply those to the brief before the meeting and say, if I were to ask these questions, tell me what this brief would tell me about those questions.
Right. Yeah.
So I think
you can even
that sales preparation before a briefing call, that's a really, really, really good way to use it as a sounding board and as an ideator and as a critical friend.
Can I expand on that a little bit?
Go, please.
Because I completely agree, 1,000%. I think you can even come a little bit further back up the sales funnel, if you will, and you can use it to do research on a particular company.
Yeah, sure.
You can use it to do research on particular industries or industry segments. I think you can even go all the way to the top of the sales funnel. And you could say, I'm looking for the head of research in the top 50 financial services companies in the Chicago area. Give me a list of those companies, the name of the contact, and their email address. And so you can actually build prospect lists from using the tools. Now, in many cases, some of the emails are not publicly available and you get some gaps, but it's not a bad starting point to begin the whole buying and selling process if you want to go down that road.
Yeah, no, I think I really like that. Coming right down the other end of the sales funnel to the proposals, one of the things I would observe with the work I do with end clients, I get to see quite a lot of proposals being sent in by agencies. One of the things I would note over the last 6 months is I think the quality of proposals has improved. And I think it's because people are using AI to interrogate and to challenge their own proposal writing. And I was speaking to an agency client the other week who have kind of embraced AI to a degree in terms of what they're doing here. And they are taking their proposals that they're writing and getting AI to critique them. So they're giving the brief. They're giving the brief from the client. They're giving the transcript of the briefing call. They're giving the proposal, and they're getting their AI tool to look at the three of them and say, where have we missed opportunities? Have we met all of the questions on all of the challenges in the brief? Have we addressed the issues that specifically relate to the client's commercial issues, not just research issues? And they were saying that they think it's helping their proposal writing. And I can absolutely see, as I said, from some of the proposals and some of the reviews I do with end clients, proposal writing, I think, is getting better. And I'm sure this is to do with using this as a tool.
Are they using it to actually write the proposal or to give them the information behind how they write the proposal?
So I think they're using it in this instance. What I've seen, and I think this is they're getting it to critique the proposal when they've written it. So they get the AI to basically, you know how if you've got a good prompt, sort of structure. So, the role is you are reading this proposal as the head of insight at company X. Your task is to give me a clear appraisal of how this proposal matches up to what was written in the brief and what was talked about in the briefing call. Here's the brief. Here's the transcript. The context is we want to write the most commercial proposal we possibly can that meets all the client needs and addresses them in a short, sharp, concise manner. So they're kind of writing the prompt in that way. Yeah. And you can get it to write the feedback slide by slide. So it comes up next to each slide. On this slide, you've missed this point, or have you thought about doing this, or you could express this more clearly here. So it's almost like using it as a kind of a proposal review tool.
I like that a lot. As we were preparing for this, Paul,
Yeah.
I wrote a prompt. Basically, I'll summarize that. I'm a seller doer for a research agency selling to Fortune, 1,000 companies, whatever.
Yeah.
How should I best use ChatGPT to support my selling efforts? And then I did it for Perplexity, same prompt, and then I did it for Gemini. So I didn't do them all, but I picked 3. And to your point about we're not here to recommend the best platform, I certainly can't, because I got 3 very different sets of data back from those 3 queries. Some overlap, of course, but all of them had some different spins on it. All of them had a couple of their own unique ideas. So as you get into using it more and more for sales and marketing, don't be shy about kind of spreading the wealth around a little bit and trying different platforms. Again, just as an idea instigator, if nothing else, to get you thinking in different directions, because they're not all the same.
Yeah.
I used it yesterday, Paul. I'll tell you how I use it from a marketing perspective. So I wrote my weekly blog post. And again, I did that myself. That was all Steve Hankey. But then I took it and I put it into ChatGPT, and I said, give me 4 different possible titles for this that are interesting and compelling, and then write 4 or 5 LinkedIn posts that I can use to promote this blog once it's posted on my blog. And give me 3 or 4 recommendations for an image that would complement the content.
Yeah. Okay.
And it not only does it do it reasonably well, it does it in like 6 seconds, which is amazing to me. But so I took one of the headlines that it gave me that I liked of the 5 or 6 options, and I edited it a little bit, and that became my title. And then it gave me 4 or 5 LinkedIn posts. I think I picked 3 that I really liked, and I had to edit each of those. To our point earlier, don't take everything at face value. And then it gave me didn't give me an image. It gave me the description of what a good supporting image would be. And I went onto Canva and I found one. So it sped up. It saved me however much time that would have taken me to. I also asked it for a keyword or phrase to use for SEO search and a good meta tag when I posted it. So good. It to your point earlier, start with something you've done and then use the AI to be a time saver and to accelerate the process beyond what you might be able to do yourself. And it worked perfectly yesterday. So I'm done with that post. Everything's ready. I've scheduled them in Buffer and I'm done.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Finally, about how to use it as an account management tool. So one of the things I do is I work with account teams and account managers to try and help them develop their relationships and deepen their relationships. So I sit down with an account manager on a monthly basis and we talk about a particular account or particular accounts. And one of the things that we've started to do is using AI to furnish ideas about topics of conversation for that individual. The kind of the AI thing is, we are having our quarterly account review meeting with the head of insight at X. This is the state of our relationship. This is the strength this is the projects we've done over the last 6 months. We are looking for interesting topics to talk about in our account review meeting, things that this individual is going to be interested about. And it just comes up with some nice ideas. And honestly, I did it with someone the other week and came up with 5 ideas. 3 of them we went, oh, that's good, because we'd already thought of them. So we'd kind of done the pre-work on it. One, they came back and we were like, well, not sure about that. Don't know why they've said that. But actually that provoked an interesting conversation. Why is the AI saying that? And why do we think that, why are we both unsure about that? And there was one that we both went, oh, that's a good idea. So I think
it gets you outside of your head sometimes. I agree. Yeah. I think it's great.
So using it for account management perspectives in terms of fostering and helping you to come up with ideas for topics of conversation. We've spoken on past pods about reaching out. The last one we did around lapsed clients, reaching out and sharing some value and stuff, asking some smart questions about an issue around their brand or their challenges is a really interesting, good way of reconnecting with people, for instance. So using it from that client perspective, I think has also got a lot of merit.
In your use with account planning, and you and I have had this conversation, I think on a previous episode, we talked about key account plans or key account activation plans. Are any of your clients using AI to actually write the activation plans?
Not that I've seen yet. Interesting enough, I've got I've actually got a meeting with an agency next week that I do some work with. And that was one of the things where we've done some account planning in the past. That was one of the things that I'm going to have a conversation with them about, because I think there's definitely merit in it.
I'll end with this comment: is if you go to any of the platforms or even Google and say, I want a list of the top, top AI platforms for sales, you're going to get a list of as many as you want of platforms that have been developed specifically for certain tasks within the marketing and sales process. You can get them for writing emails. You can get them for prepping for calls. I mean, it's amazing what's out there. And I would encourage you to think about those, but let's walk before we run. Let's use the large language models of ChatGPT, et cetera, to kind of get rolling. And if you find that it's working well for you, then for sure, go investigate the specific platforms. But AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. So let's learn to take advantage of it. And the way that it can impact sales and marketing is pretty spectacular, actually.
Yeah. I think that's right. And I think it goes to the heart of it. AI is a tool that can help you do things more effectively and help you to focus on the things you really want to do. And mindful in a lot of agencies don't want to be doing a lot of sales and marketing because they don't have the capabilities or the resources or indeed the inclination. But what this allows you to do is this more effectively, so you can develop your sales pipeline, you can develop your accounts, you can win more work and do that more quickly and more effectively. And I figure that's the absolute purpose of AI.
Yep. Agreed.
Brilliant.
Thank you, my friend.
Brilliant.
Good chat.
Thank you for your wisdom and your thoughts and your expertise, Steve. Episode 9 will be coming out soon. I'm not sure we've got an idea of what to do for that one yet, but I'm sure we'll come up with something between now and then. But in the meantime,
we are certainly open to suggestions from our audience. If there's something you'd like us to talk about, please get in touch with Paul or I and let us know. We're happy. We love this. This is just two dudes having a conversation. So whatever thought you have, we'll be happy to talk about it. So
indeed. But thank you as ever, Steve, and I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, my friend. Good chatting with you as always. Be well, and see you on the next one.
All right. Cheers, dude. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching and listening to Across the Pond. Get in touch with Paul at clientadvocates.co.uk and Steve at harpethmarketing.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.